Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Street protests continue in a dozen Polish cities against court reform. PAS, the governing Law and Justice Party, is introducing a new bill to restructure the common courts. The bill's first reading in Parliament will be scheduled tomorrow. The PAS proposed reform runs counter to parliamentary opposition, as well as a concentration of judges.
W wymiarze sprawiedliwości panuje chaos.
We are witnessing chaos in the judicial system. The government, the ruling party, are only making things worse. We do not see their actions as attempts to heal the system, nor to fix it. It looks more and more like they aim to take control over the judicial branch, make it political, and silence the judges. They break the rules of Polish and European laws. Today's opinion of the Parliamentary Analysis Office is devastating for them. Our opinion coincides with the opinion of the Parliamentary Analysis Office. Corrections to the draft bill will take into account all those findings and suggestions. We want to make sure that there will be no doubt the final text of the bill complies with the Polish constitutions and laws of the European Union. There are always corrections to the first draft of the bill, and I am sure this is true in this case. As far as the bill's merits are concerned, I think that the bill is good.
Probably tomorrow, the lower house will start the bill's proceeding with the first reading, and most likely we will hear the first jabs from opposition MPs. The final decision whether to place this issue on the agenda will be made tomorrow morning by the Speaker's Committee of the lower house of the Parliament, the Sejm.
A December 4th explosion that killed 8 people in the southern city of Szczyrk has resulted in the detention of 3 people. Their arrest was ordered by the Bielsko-Biała District Prosecutor's Office.
The prosecutor's office has informed that the chairman of the construction company responsible for the development, Roman D., as well as employees Marcin S. and Józef D. have been arrested. The accused will answer charges of violating Article 163 of the Criminal Code, that is causing a fire in and collapsing a building. The 3 men face up to 12 years imprisonment. A family of 8, 4 adults and 4 children died in the explosion. Sticker shock continues. Last July, each copy of the Gazeta Polska Weekly came equipped with a sticker declaring a, quote, LGBT-free zone. While the campaign increased the sale of the popular National Weekly, eyebrows were raised amongst the more politically correct-minded folk. The publisher, when contacted recently, reiterated that his idea was simply to inform readers of the LGBT ideology and not to intimidate anybody. Although the so-called zones don't actually exist, it hasn't stopped the European Parliament from condemning them and calling for their dissolution. The Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline is being built under the Baltic Sea to deliver 100 billion cubic metres of Russian natural gas to Germany annually. Poland opposes it, and the United States Senate passed a bill imposing sanctions on companies involved in building Nord Stream 2.
Before voting, the coalition of Polish Americans appealed to US senators to pass these sanctions. The info is on the coalitionpa.org website and on Twitter. As an organization representing Polish Americans, we are concerned that Nord Stream 2 would exacerbate the dependence of several European countries on Russian gas exports and would diminish the energy security of Poland and Europe. We strongly support passage of these provisions. The bill passed by the US Senate will target pipeline companies based in Western Europe. Among such is the Dutch-Swiss company Allseas that works off the Danish island of Bornholm. The sanctions would require the US Secretary of State to issue a report within 60 days on vessels that are engaging in pipelaying for the Nord Stream 2 and Turkstream pipelines. If a company is listed in the reports, it would then be blacklisted by Washington unless the president determined the company was winding down the operations. The president could also waive the sanctions based on national security considerations. If completed, Nord Stream 2, led by state-owned Gazprom, would allow Russia to bypass Poland and Ukraine to deliver gas under the Baltic Sea to Germany. US lawmakers say Ukraine could lose billions of dollars in transit fees if it is built, and that it would increase Russia's political grip on Europe. Washington has touted exports of US liquefied natural gas, or LNG, to provide Europe with alternatives to gas pipelines from Russia.
Warsaw's main traffic artery, the Wisła Strada, is blocked. From this morning, serious congestion of traffic clogged the Central River Road, one of the most travelled of Warsaw thoroughfares, after a cavity under the road was discovered, posing a potential serious threat to drivers if the road collapses.
Road workers decided to close the exit towards Żoliborz and Wilanów. At 9 a.m., the entry from Wisłostrada onto the Poniatowski Bridge from Wilanów and Żoliborz was excluded from traffic. An empty space has been detected under the roadway, which poses a risk of road collapse. The entrance to the bridge was closed in emergency mode. There is no aggregate in the detected void, which needs to be filled. Karolina Gałecka, spokesman of the City Roads Authority, stated that the work on the road will be finished as soon as possible. Unfortunately, drivers can thus expect very large difficulties.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.
Welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tonight. Overcast sky in large parts of the country. We might expect some rain on the west. Cloudless sky we will see on the southeast. The temperature will range from 5 to 9 degrees. Wind will be weak. And now over to tomorrow. Sunny weather across the country. On the south we will notice the highest temperature 10 degrees in Rzeszów. The lowest temperature will be 5 degrees in Białystok and Olsztyn. Little snowfall will appear over Gdańsk, Olsztyn and Białystok. Let's see the weather for the following 3 days. Friday will bring us little higher temperatures ranging from 6 to 11 degrees. On Saturday, pressure will fall. In all regions, more rainfalls will occur. On Sunday, the weather will be very similar. Rain will appear in large parts of the country. Pressure will be still low. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
You're watching Poland Daily Business Edition, and tonight we will cover the topic that you are all, as well as we here in the studio, sick and tired. I mean Brexit, the B word, as the British people put it. And this is the first ever moment when European Union is shrinking rather than growing. It raises a question about how this geopolitical project is going on. Is it on the health basis, or there are some problems? Who can better answer such questions as Professor Zbigniew Krysiak, Warsaw School of Economics and Institute of Schumann-Stotzer. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Thank you for
But we are witnessing this weird processes in Europe. We had the election only a few months ago, and we hope that the forces and people who will call for reform of European Union will gain bigger meaning after that election. Unfortunately, we still see a lot of leftists with their crazy ideas, with their idea that that their agenda should be forced upon the nations that they come from, by coercion, basically. And now we have Brexit more or less going on. Is it the end of the project of Europe as we know it, as we knew it?
Yeah, if this, a process will go in that direction, we can say this is end of this project. The direction assumed by the so-called leaders is the super state. And, we see the reaction of the UK, the Brexit, if they will, continue that, I assume the other countries will go out again. So what that means, we need to reform European Union. We need to come to the community of European nations. The major issue in the community is that there is a partnership. For instance, we have the European institutions are not democratic. In the majority of directors and the managers in these European institutions are people coming from Germany and France. So we see there is a kind of a super state like, Soviet Union, where the centralized, government, is in the hand of a few people. So, for instance, the population, people in Sweden, they basically don't know what is going there. They don't know they, members of the European Parliament, and they are very, surprised, and they are confused with that, what is happening. And this similar situation is everywhere. So the European Parliament and this leftist party especially, they just, feel themselves very comfortable, and they do not take care about really what's going on in the particular countries. So, speaking about this number of managers from Germany and France in the European institutions, last month the Institute of Schumannfort organized a conference in the Strasbourg and the European Parliament in Strasbourg, and we had many, members of the European Parliament speaking. For instance, our member of the European Parliament, Jacek Saryusz-Wolski, he was speaking about the, huge, difference, huge gap between the number, for instance, of the Polish people taking a managerial position against Germany and France. The difference is 10 times,
Maybe they are 10 times better. More educated, higher developed.
Look, I remember, there was some questionnaire, some survey made 10 years ago, 5 years ago, about the, intelligence of the Polish and German people, and in that survey we were equal. So democracy requires that if we create a common institutions for, a community of European nations, that it should be appropriate representative. So they pretend to say, yes, democracy in the Brussels exists because the European Parliament consists of a representative according to the population. Yes, the European Parliament, yes, but the European Parliament doesn't take decisions. All decisions are taken in the commissions, where the major role plays Germany and the France. And we would like that, in that institutions we change the structure on the managerial positions, because the documents going to the European Parliaments are already with final recommendations. So if a member of the European Parliament is raising the voice, he has just time for 1 minute, and he doesn't have a chance, to change anything which is in that document coming from the Commission.
But it looks perfectly democratic from outside. Is this the same process concerning, Greek, Italian, Spanish, Portugal members of the European authority, so to speak?
So, generally speaking, the representative on the west side is more proportional, but on the east side is a problem. So they basically not only the Poland, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, all, countries from the East and the Middle European countries.
They have this notion that they are doing great service to these poor nations of former Soviet Union sphere, adopting us to their wealthy club. Then many research tells that for $1 invested in Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, you name it, they got $2 or $3 back in return, which is fair, but they shouldn't be portraying themselves as someone who does any kind of service to us. This is just a business.
Yeah. So, Alexander, you stated, you put the right statement, saying they invited us to the wealthy club, but they don't like we are going to be wealthy. They are wealthy, and we should serve them. So, as you notice, right. since we joined the European Union, we just are explored. And the truth is, as you said, that in all basically these East European countries, the transfer cash flow, which is going, to the Western, is much more bigger than we are receiving from the European Union funds. And this is, let's say, a smart strategy of these wealthy people.
Well, I have no problem with that. This is okay that you spent your money elsewhere and you got profit from that. The question is to balance the profits and the political rights of those who are exploited in that way.
So looking that issue from the economic perspective, if for a long term, if you like that our markets will be useful for them, they should invest, right? If you look into the infrastructure, for instance, that the underdeveloped infrastructure in our countries, so for instance, the Via Carpathia, which is, in the process, which is not finished.
We are talking about the north-south connection in the eastern part of Central Europe that does not exist at the moment. There is no alternative. It's only this road that we are building, and it will be finished in what? In 7-8 years?
Something like that. But without initiative of our countries, the Frisia series, it wouldn't happen. But as well, this is, Via Baltica is not only one, a highway which is needed. We need to have many highways which go from the west to the east, and they are not exist, and they are not interested, basically to support this.
So the conclusion of this conversation is that our countries should take care about ourselves.
That's right.
Rather than looking for some big sugar daddies from the West.
They are too healthy, to help you.
Right. Zbigniew Krysiak, professor of Warsaw School of Economics and founder and the chairman of the Institute of Schumann Thought, was our guest, sir. Thank you for these remarks. And that was it for Poland Daily Business Tonight.
Welcome back to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tomorrow. Sunny weather across the country. On the south we will notice the highest temperature 10 degrees in Rzeszów. The lowest temperature will be 5 degrees in Białystok and Olsztyn. Little snowfall will appear over Gdańsk, Olsztyn and Białystok. Let's take a look at the forecast for our continent. In British Islands, light overcast will appear. In London, little rainfalls are expected. The highest temperature will be in Athens, 19 degrees. In Central Europe, more rain we will see. In Scandinavia, temperature will range from -2 degrees in Oslo to 4 degrees in Stockholm. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Good day, everyone. My name is Maria Kądzielska, and welcome to Poland Daily Culture. In this series of programs, I'll be talking to Michał Laszczkowski, the head of Cultural Heritage Foundation in Poland. If not for Michał, many great pieces of architecture would be still in pieces, if not gone forever. Michał, thank you for finding time to be with us.
Thank you for the invitation.
But before we start the interview, let's see some shots of his actions. The Trinity Church in Owicka is one of the most beautiful pieces of Baroque architecture in Ukraine. You, with Heritage Foundation in Poland, have restored these great pieces of architecture. How have you done it?
Well, we didn't finish this project yet, but frankly speaking, it's one of my favorite and most important, personally for me, of our projects. When we visited Oluka first time in 2012, it was the church was covered with the roof, but nothing else was done there. The church has been closed in 1935, and since that moment, everyone could do anything what he wanted. During the last 70 years, people were coming inside, destroying the altars, destroying epitaphs made in alabaster, not in the marble alabaster. Everything inside is made in alabaster, and this church, when we first came there, looked like a very beautiful ruin, ancient ruin. The problem was that whole church was constructively destroyed. It was there was a chance that it was going to collapse. That's why we decided to start the renovation process with all those construction works that were necessary. And after 6 years, we are finishing the facade. Right now, next year we're going to start some internal works with the sculptures, with the rosettes. There are wooden rosettes covered with pure gold. We used to call it the most beautiful church in Volhynian. Before the war, it was called the most beautiful church in Volhynian. There were 200 churches till the war. Right now, there are only 20 existing. So this monument could be this church could be a monument of the Polish existence in Volhynian region. Church in Oluka was built in 1640. So it's
very old.
It's very old. It's one of the oldest churches in that region of Ukraine. And frankly speaking, this project showed us how important it is to cooperate, because we are doing this, all our projects we are doing in Ukraine are common projects, Polish-Ukrainian projects, and there is a large community of Ukrainians which are not Catholics even, but this old monument, this very beautiful church, is very important for them, not only as a touristic project, but also as a monument of the history of those territories. And we are supported by regional authorities, we are supported by the locals, which are very proud that in their homeland such a beautiful monument can exist and can be renovated. Because remember, it's one of the largest Polish restoration projects abroad, one of the largest.
And tell me please, how it's possible that it was not renovated before? Even if it's such an important thing, it's a huge church from the 17th century, which was extremely important in those times and later on, and still it needed all of those times and you to start a foundation and to go there and start these things. Why the government before in the beginning of our century didn't work on it, even in the beginning of Free Poland?
Well, frankly speaking, I have no idea. This church was built by Poles, for Polish money, for Poles, for Polish people, but right now it's located in the Ukrainian territory, and it's a duty of Ukrainian state to take care of those monuments which are their property. But of course we know what's the economical situation in Ukraine. Ukraine is not able to fulfill its duty. That's why it's necessary to help Ukrainians and even Belarusians in protection of our common Central European heritage. Minister Gliński established a special institution called Instytut Polonika. It was established 2 years ago to protect Polish heritage abroad, not only in the East, but all over the world. It's a first step to organize a large system of protecting Polish heritage abroad. It's only first step, but very important. Right now, we need to have a strategy. We need to have much more money for the special fund for such a works, because restoration works are extremely expensive, and we cannot do it in a cheaper way because it won't be done in a proper way. So, if we want to secure the monuments we left abroad, it's necessary to create a strategy and to have a special large fund for that project. We need also some scientific research, because we are not able to renovate anything without any old photographs, without any knowledge what was there before. Right now, after 30 years of independent Poland, we do not know how many cemeteries are there in Ukraine and Belarus. We don't know how many palaces or churches are still existing there. We have no knowledge about it because there were never done any serious scientific research. We know it only partly. So first step has been done by Mr. Gliński. We are waiting and expecting the other steps. Hopefully it's going to happen, hopefully next few years.
And tell me, please, how long it will take to renovate the Trinity Church of Ołyka, in your opinion? How much time do you still need to bring it back to its former beauty?
Maybe it's not only because of the funds, but because of the technical issues. Not less than 4 years it's needed to be for the process to be done. It's restoration works. It's a long-term process, but it also depends on the funds. If we had enough funds, after 3 years we could finish the project. If we won't, we'll do it in the same way as in the other churches, as in St. Wawrzyniec Church in Żółkiew, where the restoration works are taking place for the 33rd time. The restoration process is so long because there are no funds for fast professional renovation. In St. Nicholas Church in Kamieniec Podolski, we are working already 10 years. And the whole process is started in the year 2000, and it's not finished yet. So we need a strategy, we need money, and we need to organize it in a proper long-term projects.
If you are going to visit Volhynia in Ukraine, then definitely go to the Trinity Church in Ołyka, which is an amazing piece of architecture and also an example of our common history. And thank you for watching Poland Daily Culture.
For Poland, the 19th century was a century of struggle for independence, and thus a century which for Poles did not end until the 11th of November 1918, when a new, independent Poland emerged from the ashes of the First World War. This is the story of how the 1905 revolution led, as those of 1830 and 1863 had not, to independence and of the emergence of Józef Pilsudski as the leader of a reborn Poland. For Poland, the 19th century was a century of struggle for independence, and thus a century which for Poles did not end until the 11th of November 1918, when a new, independent Poland emerged from the ashes of the First World War. This is the story of how the 1905 revolution led, as those of 1830 and 1863 had not, to independence, and of the emergence of Józef Pilsudski as the leader of a reborn Poland. Welcome to Poland Daily History with me, Nicholas Richardson. And we're continuing our series of looking at all things rebellious and revolutionary. We started with the 1830 revolution in Poland, the uprising. We then went on to the 1863 uprising. And now we're going to start with the 1905 revolution in Russia, which led on to a series of events, ultimately, at the end of the First World War, seeing the re-emergence of Poland as an independent country. And I'm joined in the studio by our resident expert, Dominik Szczęsny-Kostanecki. Dominik, welcome. What was the Tsar's reaction to this?
The Russian reaction was they realized. I mean, they published yet another manifesto saying that one of the aims of the war is to create independent Poland. I mean, come on. It was.
You've had plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, it was like 123 years. I mean, you had some time to do it, but it soon became inaccurate and invalid because the Tsarism was, swept away
by the revolution in 1917.
First in February, that was the, let's say, second revolution after the one of 1905, making path for the Bolsheviks in October, November.
That's right. Of course,
October is October in the Russian calendar, but in fact, in our Western calendar, it happened in November. So in fact, we should talk about not the great Wielka Oktyabrska Rewolucja, the October Revolution, but November Revolution.
Yes, we should. Because it was in 1917 also that Pilsudski fell out with the Prussians, in the sense that we had this. He wasn't at that point prepared without some further, more concrete constitutional guarantees, just to pledge the allegiance of Polish soldiers to the Central Powers, which led to the famous oath crisis, which ultimately saw Pilsudski in Magdeburg prison.
Yes, that happened in summer 1917, and that's yet another thing that helped building up Piłsudski's legend, because now people realize that he is not he cannot be a German agent. I mean, if he sits in the German prison. And he said that, okay, guys, either you give us a Polish army which is commanded by Polish commanders, or we have nothing to talk about. And that's what the crisis, the political crisis, the oath crisis in July 1917 was all about. So he was imprisoned. His soldiers were imprisoned as POWs, so prisoners of war.
Well, some went on to, some were sort of went to fight with the Habsburgs and were sent elsewhere. To Italy, I think I'm right in saying?
There were 3 brigades of the legions.
And two had their commanders sort of locked up. And one, I think, was it Haller, his brigade went and fought with the Habsburgs?
Yes, it was fighting at the Eastern Front, and then at some point some of them crossed the. On hearing that, okay, let's put it this way. On hearing that the Germans and the Austrians signed a separate peace treaty with Russia at Brest-Litovsk in March 1918, and they signed it also with independent Ukraine, to which they give
certain territory, which
certain
everybody was hoping would be part of an independent Poland,
including Chełm. I mean, Lviv. We can talk about Lviv, but Chełm, come on, Chełm is Polish. So on hearing that, even the most loyal brigade changed sides and abandoned their Austrian commanders. Some of them didn't manage to, were, taken back and as a punishment sent to the Italian front. So that's right that some of them fought at the Italian front.
Yes,
which was not a particularly harsh one, as we all remember. One of Napoleon's marshals, Joachim Murat, said once that no matter what uniforms you give to the Italians, they flee from the battlefield with the same pace.
that's probably slightly unfair.
Slightly unfair. Slightly. No, I love our Italian brothers, but sometimes we can tell a few jokes.
Well, of course, yes. Well, indeed. And if you go to the Second World War, I think Hitler was rather disappointed as well by the commitment shown by the Italians when it came to fighting. But no, we must concentrate at this stage, obviously, on the events in Poland.
Hello everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Poland Daily Travel. I say special edition because they're all special, because we do them especially for you. With me now I have my pal of long standing. His name is Karl Kilmer. I will not try to spell his last name, it is impossible. You have to be a spellitician.
That's a
spellitician?
Nice
is that
nice
what those people who spell well?
Yeah.
Did you win a spelling bee when you were a kid? With that name?
Probably.
You said,
I don't remember.
No, actually you lost because they asked you to spell your own name and you couldn't do it. So it was difficult. He couldn't spell his own name. Anyway, I can't spell it either, so we're both not as intelligent as you would like. But we do know something about Gdansk, especially Karl, because Karl, you have lived here how many years?
I arrived here first in about 1994. So it's been a while.
And are you an illegal immigrant still?
No, I'm actually a citizen as well.
You're a citizen?
I'm a dual citizen.
Of Gdansk?
No, of Poland.
Of the whole country?
Yes.
How about that, folks?
Yes.
So if you stay here long enough, you don't have to be an illegal immigrant. You can actually get a passport like Carl, and if the authorities can actually spell your name.
It is spelled correctly, but yes.
It is spelled correctly?
Yes,
okay.
yes, but
yeah.
everyone has a
But we
problem.
say it's Kelmer like Val Kilmer.
Yes, exactly.
It's just spelled differently.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your Polish citizenship.
Thank
you
you.
never. I didn't know that. You
Yeah,
didn't tell
yeah.
me.
Ah,
Good.
well,
good. One day, maybe perhaps I'll be so lucky.
About 15 years,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Well, that's long enough.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Did you have to do this and go?
Oh yeah, to do all that.
Yeah.
And
Do you have to
they
know
have-
history and things like that?
no, it wasn't exactly history, but they did ask me a lot. The police investigated me,
Well,
and they
obviously.
do a lot of questions like,
Yeah, that's
you know,
normal.
But they were Polish questions. So, do you drink a lot? And I said, well, yeah, but not like a Pole. And they laugh, and again,
That was okay. You passed.
That was a good answer.
You passed. So each one gets a stamp. They're
Yeah,
like,
basically.
oh.
Yeah, good answer. So,
Good answer. Not as
that's
much
the
as
right
they. I'm not nearly. But maybe.
Of course, I had to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I was asking in Polish and everything like that. So, I learned Polish, but it's been a long and difficult.
You had to speak
struggle.
in Polish to
Yeah,
get the passport.
Yeah, of course.
I know people who got it without speaking Polish at all.
Yeah, but they're probably
They
football
relate,
players.
or their relatives they had relatives. Yeah, they had relatives, so they had a right to a passport. Like
Yeah.
an American who has a grandmother or father.
Oh, that sense.
Yeah, and
okay.
that's, yeah. Okay, but you were married anyway.
I was married,
Is that
yeah.
how you did it? From the beginning,
Yeah,
or-
it was based on that.
Yeah. Where are we standing right now? That's enough about.
All
We
right.
can talk more about you.
Sure,
You're a
okay.
fascinating
Okay.
guy.
All right. One of the places that everyone always wants to visit when they come to Poland is the Milk Bar, the famous milk bars. And this one is rather unproposing, but is in fact one of the most famous in town.
Yeah.
And in one of those strange internet votings, some British newspaper, this was voted the finest restaurant in, I don't know if I remember, it was Northern Poland or something like that.
Is that the Sun tabloid of great cuisine?
Probably. Because it's not exactly what we'd call great cuisine, and yet somehow it
But it's
was
very, very reasonable price, right?
very reasonably priced.
Well, let's go in and have a look.
You can
Should
go
we
on in and have a look, and you can
Okay.
take a look around. And these
After
places,
the bumper, you will see us inside.
these places used to be subsidized and were very, very cheap back then, and now, and they also were very, let's say, brutal.
Yeah.
And now
now it's
they've
friendly.
updated them, and now they've got better furniture.
Let's go in and
But
see it.
still.
Come on.
Yeah,
Let's go and
let's
see
go
it. Yeah. All right, Carl. So this is the famous bar tourist.
It's always very steamy, so your glasses will probably fog up.
They will.
Be
Okay.
careful.
Why is it steamy? Because of all the great cooking going
Because
on.
of all the.
The fine fare on display. Well, let's look at the menu and see what we got.
One of the great innovations is that the cashiers behind you can now speak a bit of English, which is brilliant. You used to just have to point if you couldn't speak Polish, but
There's
now
in
you can-
English now?
They can speak something. Yes.
So they can speak a bit of English?
They can speak a bit of English.
That never used to happen.
Never.
That's a really recent. That's the young people who know a thing or
Yeah,
two, right?
yeah.
Come over here. Let's look at the menu. Well, look at the different things we have. What do we have there? We have
Scrambled eggs for breakfast.
5 zloty.
5 zloty, an omelet, hot
$1.50
dogs.
bucks, $1.50
Hot dogs. Hot dogs for breakfast.
1.25. Hot dog.
€3. Not €3. 3 zloty. Soups. We've got 5 or 6 kinds of soups.
That's 75 cents. Each zloty is worth about 25 cents.
Yeah. If you're talking American.
Yeah, American.
Or euros. They're pretty much the same.
But, okay, this is similar to a euro. We can talk euros or dollars. It's not a big difference.
We've got vegetable, mushroom. The local things are
This
more
is
like
mushroom
Zurich.
soup.
Yeah.
This zupi is soup.
Yeah.
Mushroom soup is $2, or let's say €2.
€2, $2.
It's 8 zlotys. Yeah. Flaky is tripe, isn't it?
Yeah,
This
tripe.
is crazy stuff.
That's
All the-
popular for hangovers.
Is it popular for hangovers?
Yes, I don't know why, but-
we should have had something to drink last night. We went to bed too early.
So we could have
I think we could have
the
fun.
hangover so we could enjoy it.
Zurich is very popular. Soups are a religion almost in Poland, aren't they? You have all these fantastic soups. You have chicken soup, which is rosol. Pomodorova is a tomato soup. We said mushroom soup. Vegetable soup at the top.
And then borscht, or borscht as we call it.
Borscht, the famous, everybody knows, very Russian and Ukrainian thing too, isn't
Well,
it?
they call it borscht Ukrainian, but probably you couldn't get it in Ukraine.
No, you probably couldn't get the same kind. Yeah, it's not the red one, but it's the one with
The
vegetables.
red one, this is the red. Borscht Ukrainian is red
it's
with lots of vegetables.
It's red. Okay, I didn't know. Okay. I should have known that. All right. And then you have all the
Basic
breast
meats
of
of various
chicken,
kinds,
etc.
breast of chicken, fried.
Breast of chicken, that'll set you back about $2.50. Yeah. So, and that's a nice big piece. So the place
Yeah,
is very
meatballs,
and a nice
yeah.
handwriting, isn't it? Yeah.
So the
Somebody's
nice
got
things
excellent
are
handwriting.
Placek Watagansu, which is like a big potato pancake.
Potato
filled
pancake
with,
here?
Filled with meat and vegetables.
So
With a
like
big
Hungarian
gooey sauce.
style, yeah?
Well, that's what it says, yeah. But or gypsy style. But
Or gypsy style. We're not allowed to say gypsy. We have to say wandering challenged. Gołąbki, liver. Liver's cheap. €7.
Fish isn't the best. But then they have pierogi, of course, with various kinds. You'd have to see what they actually have on any given day. And then you get the little additions of potatoes and salads and such like that.
Here's your dodatki as your extras, and those are very cheap as well. So you can get a really good meal here of nice, wholesome food, and it doesn't cost you even a pretty penny. It could be an ugly penny.
A few pennies, a
It
few
could be
pretty pennies, but not many.
It could be a penny that needs, a beautician. Anyway, there we are. What we got?
What we got? We got your basic different kinds of vegetables all heated up. We got your different kinds of meats. And
But what kind of vegetables we have? We got carrots and peas. We got
cabbage,
fantastic burachki.
mushroom sauce. You can't
The
see very well
mushroom
because everything's
sauce is
fogged up, as I was saying. But
And cabbage, of course, the Polish standby is very good for you in the winter, particularly. Yeah, it's beautiful stuff, beautifully prepared, simple, good food. Look at the chicken here, chicken cutlets, the hamburger, the meloni, cutlet meloni.
Ground meat. Ground meat patties.
Yeah. And pork cutlet.
Pork cutlet, salads.
Looks like there's a couple, 3 times of different kinds
And
of pork.
there-
Pork is very popular here.
And they even have things like croquettes with eggs.
Yeah, that's a croquette.
Made with eggs, so you can avoid meat, but it's not easy, but you can.
And if you don't like it, the salads are over here with your coleslaw and stuff like that. Fantastic. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Beautiful. Very nice. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Let's go to the next place. Okay, we're going to go down the street. Carl, we couldn't resist. We came over here. I had to pick up. I mean, who needs a medicine ball when you've got a great pumpkin? Can you see that, folks? That is a big pumpkin. If you thought they didn't like Halloween in Poland, you would be wrong. It's not actually Halloween. It's after Halloween, but still, there you are, the great pumpkin.
And I'd like to point out there's plenty of hipster type places here too, like Redneck, which is got a really strange logo. I'm not really clear what this guy's doing here. If he's
it looks like he's drooling barbecue sauce.
Yeah, it's a little creepy, but
that doesn't make me.
The food's fine.
Hey,
So
come here, come here,
if
come
you
here.
want,
Come on.
oh look, he's
Redneck. Smile.
Look, he's got your teeth.
Smile. Speak for yourself, buddy. Let's go.